There are moments between Jimin and Jungkook that feel completely spontaneous, completely unpredictable, and somehow always manage to leave fans laughing. Their friendship has produced countless memorable interactions over the years, but whenever Jimin decides to show his mischievous side, Jungkook often seems to become the easiest target. This time, Jimin's playful behavior once again became the center of attention. What started as what appeared to be a simple, harmless moment quickly turned into one of those unforgettable interactions that fans could not stop talking about. Jungkook seemed genuinely caught off guard, while Jimin looked as though he was enjoying every second of the situation. The chemistry between the two BTS members has always been one of the reasons their interactions attract so much attention. They can move effortlessly from serious conversations to ridiculous jokes, from teasing each other to laughing like two close friends who have known each other for years. And when Jimin is in an especially playful mood, Jungkook knows that something unexpected could happen at any moment. In this particular moment, Jimin appeared to have one simple goal: make Jungkook react. And he succeeded. At first, everything seemed completely normal. Jungkook was focused on what was happening around him, seemingly relaxed and unaware that Jimin was preparing another playful move. Jimin, however, appeared to be watching carefully, waiting for the perfect opportunity. That is what makes Jimin's teasing style so entertaining. He does not always need an elaborate prank. Sometimes, the smallest gesture is enough to completely confuse Jungkook. A sudden comment, an unexpected expression, a playful movement, or a perfectly timed interruption can instantly change the atmosphere. And once Jimin realizes that Jungkook has fallen into the trap, his expression often says everything. It is the expression of someone who knows exactly what he is doing. Jungkook, meanwhile, appeared to need a few seconds to process what had just happened. For a moment, he seemed genuinely speechless. Fans watching the interaction immediately noticed the contrast between the two. Jimin looked amused and completely comfortable with his little joke, while Jungkook seemed to be searching for the right response. But there was no immediate answer. That silence was exactly what made the moment even funnier. Jungkook is usually known for his confidence and quick reactions. Whether he is performing on stage, answering questions, joking with the other members, or interacting with fans, he can often respond naturally without hesitation. But Jimin has a special ability to catch him off guard. It is almost as if Jimin knows exactly which buttons to push. And perhaps that comes from years of friendship. The two have spent an enormous amount of time together, sharing stages, rehearsals, behind-the-scenes moments, travels, interviews, broadcasts, and countless private jokes that fans have only occasionally been able to witness. That history creates a unique dynamic. Jimin knows Jungkook's reactions. Jungkook knows Jimin's habits. So when Jimin decides to tease him, Jungkook may already suspect something is coming, but that does not necessarily mean he can stop it. That is what happened here. Jimin's playful move seemed simple, but Jungkook's reaction made it memorable. For fans, the funniest part was not necessarily what Jimin did. It was the way Jungkook reacted afterward. He appeared caught between laughing, responding, and simply accepting that Jimin had once again managed to outplay him. It was one of those situations where there was no obvious comeback. And Jimin seemed to love that. The interaction also reminded fans of a familiar side of BTS. The members are not always serious performers surrounded by enormous stages and cameras. Away from the pressure of performances, they can still behave like close friends who enjoy teasing one another. Jimin's playful personality has often been visible in his interactions with the members. He can be affectionate, thoughtful, mischievous, dramatic, and unexpectedly funny. Jungkook, on the other hand, can sometimes become the perfect victim because his reactions are so genuine. That combination creates comedy almost automatically. The moment Jimin started teasing him, the atmosphere changed. Jungkook appeared to realize that he had been targeted. But by then, it was already too late. Jimin had committed to the joke. And instead of immediately explaining himself, he seemed to enjoy watching Jungkook try to understand what was happening. This is where the interaction became even more entertaining. Jungkook's expression seemed to say, "What am I supposed to do now?" Fans immediately recognized that familiar look. It was not anger. It was not frustration. It was the look of someone who had simply been caught completely off guard by a friend. And that distinction matters. Their playful teasing has long been part of the natural chemistry that fans enjoy. When they joke with each other, the atmosphere often feels relaxed rather than forced. Their reactions come across as those of people who are comfortable enough with one another to be silly. Jimin seemed particularly pleased with the result. His reaction suggested that the objective had been achieved. Jungkook had been successfully confused. And Jimin had won. For a few seconds, Jungkook appeared to have no idea how to respond. That was when the moment became unforgettable. Fans began highlighting the interaction across social media, focusing on Jungkook's speechless reaction and Jimin's mischievous expression. Some fans joked that Jungkook needed a few seconds to reboot. Others imagined that Jimin had been planning the moment long before it happened. Of course, the reality may have been much simpler. It may have been nothing more than two friends joking around. But that is exactly why the moment resonated with fans. There was something natural about it. There was no need for an elaborate setup. No complicated storyline. Just Jimin being playful and Jungkook trying to figure out what had just happened. And sometimes, those are the moments fans remember the most. Over the years, Jimin and Jungkook have developed a relationship filled with teasing and playful competition. They can challenge each other, joke with each other, encourage each other, and occasionally make one another completely speechless. Their interactions often feel unpredictable because neither seems afraid to react naturally. If Jimin thinks something is funny, he will laugh. If Jungkook finds something embarrassing, his reaction can be immediate. And when the two are together, even an ordinary situation can become unexpectedly entertaining. That is why fans were so amused by this latest moment. Jimin once again demonstrated that he does not need a huge stage to steal attention. Sometimes, all he needs is Jungkook standing nearby. The playful moment also highlights something important about the members' friendship. Teasing can be a form of familiarity. When people spend years together, they learn each other's personalities. They discover which jokes will make their friends laugh, which reactions will be priceless, and which situations will create unforgettable memories. Jimin seems to understand Jungkook particularly well. He knows when Jungkook is relaxed. He knows when Jungkook is focused. And perhaps most importantly, he knows when Jungkook is not expecting anything. That is when Jimin strikes. The result is often hilarious. This time was no exception. Jungkook appeared to be caught in a situation where every possible response seemed equally difficult. If he laughed, Jimin would probably laugh even harder. If he tried to respond seriously, the situation would become even funnier. So for a moment, he simply stood there, speechless. And that silence became the punchline. Jimin's expression made it even better. Rather than immediately moving on, he seemed to appreciate the fact that his little joke had worked. It was almost like watching someone successfully complete a mission. Jungkook had been defeated without a fight. Fans could not get enough of it. The interaction also sparked conversations about how different Jimin and Jungkook can be, while still complementing each other so well. Jimin can be incredibly expressive. His facial expressions often reveal exactly what he is thinking, especially when he is amused. Jungkook, meanwhile, sometimes responds with a more straightforward reaction. When something surprises him, his face can say everything before he even says a word. Put those personalities together, and the result can be pure comedy. That is exactly what happened. Jimin created the moment. Jungkook created the reaction. And fans completed the scene by turning it into a memorable piece of BTS content. For longtime ARMY, moments like this are especially meaningful because they remind them of the personalities behind the performances. BTS may be known around the world for massive concerts, chart-topping music, awards, and extraordinary performances, but their appeal has never been limited to music alone. Fans have also connected with their personalities and friendships. They have watched the members grow together, support one another, tease each other, and create memories over many years. That history makes small interactions feel significant. A simple joke can remind fans of countless previous moments. A funny reaction can bring back memories of earlier episodes. And a playful exchange between Jimin and Jungkook can instantly become something fans want to replay again and again. This latest incident fits perfectly into that tradition. Jimin was being Jimin. Jungkook was being Jungkook. And somehow, the combination created another unforgettable moment. What makes the story even more amusing is that Jungkook did not appear prepared for the attack. He seemed to have been completely unaware of Jimin's intentions. That element of surprise is often what makes teasing successful. If the target knows what is coming, the joke loses its power. But when the target is completely unsuspecting, even a small prank can produce a huge reaction. Jimin seemed to understand that perfectly. He waited. He watched. And then he made his move. Jungkook had no time to prepare. The result was a priceless reaction. It is easy to imagine the laughter that followed. Because once Jungkook realized what Jimin had done, there was really only one thing left to do. Laugh. And perhaps accept that this was another round won by Jimin. But the beauty of their interactions is that there does not need to be a real winner. The teasing is part of the fun. Jimin can tease Jungkook today, and tomorrow Jungkook can find his own opportunity to return the favor. That playful balance is one of the reasons their friendship remains so entertaining to fans. They are not simply performing for an audience. They are interacting as friends. And sometimes the camera happens to capture it. For fans, that makes the moment feel even more authentic. There is also something endearing about Jungkook's inability to immediately respond. Instead of becoming upset, he seemed to process the situation with a mixture of surprise and amusement. That reaction made it clear that the moment was playful. Jimin's teasing did not create tension. It created laughter. And that is why the moment was received so warmly. The internet quickly turned Jungkook's speechless expression into a favorite reaction. Fans imagined what might have been going through his mind. Was he trying to understand Jimin's logic? Was he thinking of a comeback? Was he simply accepting defeat? Nobody can know exactly what Jungkook was thinking unless he explains it himself. But that uncertainty is part of the fun. Fans can interpret the moment in their own way. Some saw it as Jimin's ultimate prank victory. Others simply saw two close friends enjoying themselves. Both interpretations capture something important. The interaction was funny because it was unexpected. And it was heartwarming because it showed the comfort between two longtime friends. Jimin's mischievous side has always been one of the qualities that fans appreciate. He can switch from a serious performer to a playful troublemaker in seconds. One moment he can look completely focused. The next, he can be smiling because he has successfully teased someone.